Extracts from these stories are published by Tracy DW as part of the Stories to be Told series for Barbara E. Vince Publishing. Copyright Tracy D. Williams 2020 and 2022. All rights reserved. These works are poetic narratives based on the author's own learning journey of historical events, and in no way claims to be representative or promote or endorse the attitudes, views or opinions of individuals that are alive or deceased, or corporate entities either real or imaginative. The author encourages the reader to embark on their own learning journey about the events, places and individuals stated in these books. These are poetic narratives inspired by historical events. From Caribbean Rush by Tracy DW. Chapter 2. In Search of Fool's Gold. England's victory over Spanish territory made them realise that they too could conquer other lands, and so began to colonise. Walter Raleigh made the first attempt in 1585. Inspired by tales of El Dorado, he claimed the beaches were paved with gold. His lack of judgment cost him dearly, as his execution told. But Raleigh's tall tales of the unexpected encouraged more English subjects to ride the Atlantic Ocean to Guyana, but they too were blown offside. The 67 travellers turned around, then looked on straight ahead, and found themselves on the island of St. Lucia instead. Together with Grenada in 1609, both were England's first attempts to rush the Caribbean line. From Bite from the Big Apple, A Story for New York by Tracy DW. Chapter 3. Seize the Day. New York's location and its seaport was a prime location for a strike or a hit. We all know that George III sent an army to battle up Surges in 1776. The fight for independence was also a fight for Africans to win or to lose. They could in no way serve two masters, the crown or plantation, you choose. They fought for their freedom in Lexington, Concord, and the climax in Yorktown. The Ethiopian regiment formed by Lord Dunmore was the first of its kind ever found. From Knights at the Round Table, The Berlin Conference 1884 by Tracy DW. Chapter 3. The Final Act. The final act was written at the Berlin Conference in 1884, where the motherland was carved up and shared out like hors d'oeuvres on a smorgasbord. Which powers could forge legal ownership? Who had access to free trade? The conference gave answers to such questions, making future disputes fade. North and South meridians and the Tropic of Cancer were used as the main guide for those European countries both to rule and to divide. mothers from their sons, fathers from their daughters, even the chief from their own tribe. The divisions ran so hard and deep, it kept betrayal between brothers alive. In those new boundaries, indigenous rulers were forced to sign treaties and let the foreign flag fly. And the chance for African and Islamic powers to benefit from this were denied. From A Story for South Africa by Tracy DW. Chapter 4. The Great Divide. Guerrilla tactics by the Boers tried to keep the British in check, but Colonel Robert Baden-Powell's ensured these tactics came to no effect. Lord Kitchener's scorched earth policy denied guerrilla fighters food and supplies. He stopped the work of digging within the country's gold mines. With British oversight, however, there was a chilling price to pay, as concentration camps were set up all along the way. These were poor in food and hygiene and low on medical supplies, so thousands of women, children and native Africans lost their lives. Such poor administration led the way to catastrophe and disaster, and with it grew African pride as well as nationalism thereafter. Native Africans also fought on both British and Dutch sides. They played their role as wagon drivers, guides, and also acted as spies. Hey, have you tried Magic Mind yet? Have you placed your first order? I'm enjoying Magic Mind. I call it my mental performance shot. One a day with my morning coffee gets me focused, mentally clear, motivated and productive while reducing my stress levels. The benefits of Magic Mind? Well, with 12 active ingredients, organically grown mushrooms, adaptogens and the highest quality matcha, it enables me to absorb the caffeine in a way that actually lowers my cortisol levels. And each bottle provides 100% of your daily vitamin C and D. So it's magic for the mind and body. Try it for yourself. Use the special code TOLLED20 to get 48% off your subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Try Magic Mind. The link is in the show notes. From Hope for Zimbabwe, Arise the Phoenix by Tracy DW. Chapter 2. Loss of Freedom. The 1950s saw the demand for independence intensify throughout the colonies. So UK PM Harold Wilson put pressure on Rhodesian policy. Out of the 3 provinces, Zambia and Malawi obliged. They granted independence, gaining the Africans back some pride. But Ian Smith was not a man who was about to wilt or waver. He wanted to be the one to save white privilege and favour. So Africans within Rhodesia continued to be denied, with the Declaration of Independence in 1965. From Gone with the Wind? Macmillan's Speech for Change. Chapter 3. A Question of Balance. The only way to keep imperial rule was to undergo an evolution. Britain saw this as the antidote to the threat of revolution. So, devolution was the path that Britain had to take. The 1960s saw many countries depart from her embrace. Maurice Harold Macmillan, 1st Earl of Stockton, born in 1894. Known to his friends as Super Mac, he was cool, calm and unflappable. As Prime Minister in 1960, he recognised the dilemma he was in. There was nationalistic pride and consciousness in Africa growing from within. It was felt that the fight for freedom throughout the Congo and Algeria would sweep across Africa and cause ruling whites to feel inferior. Caribbean Wind by Tracy DW. From Chapter 3. Steal Away. They worked as cleaners, porters and drivers, manufacturer labour and nurses. These jobs, with low status and pay, formed the backbone of Britain's public service. There were others who also rose to the occasion. Ex-Caribbean servicemen were. They thought about returning back home, but were uncertain of the economic unrest that was there. They too decided to settle in Britain. They felt they had nothing to lose. They exercised their right to remain until the law changed in 1962. It's not great that a former flight lieutenant was now sweeping a factory floor, but it showed the resilience and hard-working spirit of these people who gave it their all. From The Journey's End, Giving Back Hong Kong by Tracy DW. Chapter 2. Face Off. To return Hong Kong to the arms of China was hard to accept or believe. An act for the common good or political tactics to save reputations without committing deceit. When Mrs. Thatcher visited the People's Republic in 1982, Deng said, "I could take all territories and Hong Kong this very afternoon." Thatcher replied, "You may be right, as there's no way that I can stop it. But treaties ought to be respected. Don't create a dispute that will deadlock it." If you liked this podcast, then stay on this listening platform and check out my other podcasts in relation to this one, such as the entire The Story So Far set of episodes from the 1st and 2nd seasons. In these episodes, as well as the extracts, I also share anecdotes about my own personal growth as an author, podcaster, and with my learning journey on the subject of Britain's colonial past. Well, that's it. We've come to the end. This has been the Season 4 finale, and it's quite fitting that this season is brought to an end with a focus on how it all began. What I call the heart and soul of the Stories to be Told movement. My stories, the stories or poetic narratives. Caribbean Wind, Caribbean Rush, Knights at the Round Table, the Berlin Conference 1884, and Gone with the Wind, Macmillan's Speech for Change. Remember, these are all available on the website in paperback, on Amazon, in Kindle format, and in ebook format at Apple Books and all other digital platforms. Also, the publication of the latest 4 titles. Now, if you want to find out more, just visit storiestobetold.com and check out the learning platforms for The Journey's End, Giving Back Hong Kong, Bite from the Big Apple, A Story for New York, Hope for Zimbabwe, Arise the Phoenix, and A Story for South Africa. However, you can purchase your copy of any of these titles by simply using the links in the show notes. Visit storiestobetold.com for my latest promotional giveaway for this month. For one lucky person on my email list, just visit the website and sign up, where you can opt in and receive your free samples of my first 4 titles, and also an opportunity to enter the draw for the monthly giveaway. And also, don't forget the Name That Podcast Challenge. If you're a regular listener, why not try it? Follow the instructions in the bonus episode and just email me your name and answer, and that's it. You're in the draw with a chance to win an exclusive Stories to Be Told merch bundle. It's as simple as that, and I'm looking for 3 winners to announce on my live event in August. Oh, and don't forget what I told you about Magic Mind. The link and the promo code is also in the show notes. And finally, remember that you can also send me an audio message on the SpeakPipe link as well, which is also in the show notes. So don't be a stranger. Feel free to like, follow and share us on social media when you visit the website. Just click onto whichever social media link you would like to follow us on. And, as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to share my learning journey with you in this podcast series, and I encourage you to either begin or continue your own. Well, as I said earlier, it's the end of this season, and I'm also taking a break from the podcast. There's so much to look back on and enjoy. If you're a regular listener, or even if you're relatively new to the podcast, send me an email or message and let me know what has been your favourite episode and why. I would love to hear from you. Don't worry, I'll be back in the autumn to continue my learning journey with a brand new season and an invitation for you to join me. It's not over yet. The learning journey will continue. History is a matter of fact or perspective. I'm Tracy DW, and this is a Stories to Be Told podcast. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Thanks so much for all your support and for listening over the last 4 seasons of this podcast series. And I'll see you on the next page.